there's so many pet sitters out there, but there's so many jobs out there for us too. I would say as far as my group, it hasn't substantially grown, mostly because a lot of the new pet sitters in town don't know about us
Okay.
because we do have a private Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And I am busy and I don't get out there and ask pet sitters like I should unless I hear of one pops up, and then I will. But I really should get out there and call them and ask them to join. But if there's any of you out there now and you want to join our group, please do. We can always use more pet sitters, professional pet sitters in our group.
Right. So if somebody
Patty,
I
don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to stress that in order to be a part of our group, pet sitters do have to be insured and bonded.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Like if somebody was a rover person, they cannot get in, right?
No, our members have their own business. And it's mostly just the business owners. It's not the people that work for them. It's the business owners, and everybody's insured and bonded.
Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting too. So let's see. What to expect from the sitter while they're working for you was something that I wanted to hear about. So what would I expect from you when you're here?
Well, you're always going to want to meet with the pet sitter first and make sure that they know what you want and what the routine of your pet. You want to make sure that your pet receives the exact care that you want. Does your pet sitter keep in constant contact, so that you know all is well at home? I do know some pet sitters who I've heard clients complain that they don't text enough or let them know what's going on at home. So clients want to know this. Does your pet sitter respect your privacy and boundaries in your home? As pet sitters, we don't want to go snooping around in people's homes. We want to take care of it, and we want to, like for overnights especially, leave the home, like we left it. Does the pet sitter turn off lights that you don't want on, and clean up after themselves? Well, I just said that. I am going by notes. I want you to know that because this is such a passion to me, and I don't want to miss anything. So I am going by my notes. Is your pet sitter organized and always on time? Do they return your calls, your emails, and your texts in a timely manner? Does your pet sitter know what to do in case of an emergency? Are they trained in first aid? Most professionals are trained in first aid, for pet first aid. Are your pet sitters washing your dishes and keep, the pet dishes? You want to wash the food dishes, the water dishes. Want to make sure the litter boxes are clean. When you talk to your pet sitter and you have a concern, do they listen to you? And again, is your pet sitter going to know when you get home? Is it the type of pet sitter that is concerned that something would happen to your animals if you didn't make it home?
Right. Yeah. That's a good one. That's the first time I've heard that. And that's really, it's true, because what if the plane with weather or whatever got delayed or canceled or whatever, and you didn't know that the owner wasn't going to be home and they said they were going to be. So that's really an important one to me, I think.
Especially for dogs, cats may be okay for another day or so, but dogs, you can't.
Right.
They have to go to the bathroom. So.
Right. Do you have on your webpage, because you have a nice website, do you have this list of questions? Do you have like frequently asked questions or something like that people could actually go and look back and see what we're all talking about here?
I do not, but that is something I should put on there. I did have something like that on my old website, and then when I got a new web host, and I didn't add that, but when I look at I go in and look at other pet sitters' websites, and it's like, oh, I should do that. I should do that. But yes, I should add that.
Yeah, it's just, it would be a helpful thing, I think, for people just listening to all these questions. I know you and I know how good you do, so I don't feel like I need to know all this stuff, but other people, really, this is important stuff for people that are hiring a sitter, because A lot of times you're just like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. They just eat, they just go out, but there's a lot to it. I mean, there really is a lot to it. Not to mention that, but the first aid aspect, and then the just my thing, keeping the pets safe and making sure they don't get out,
Yeah.
what are those taking those precautions. And I'm sure as professional versus hobby sitter, those are at the top of your list as far as keeping your clients pets safe.
Absolutely. When I go into somebody's home, I have this pet sitting bag that on a roller, and I block the door every time I go in. So I'm always very careful when I go in and out about pet, to make sure the pets don't get out.
Mhm.
And that's one thing I kind of worry about with hobby sitters. Are they really careful when they go in and out? And I think I've heard you say that you've had a lot of missing pets from people who were hobby sitters, because I
Yeah.
don't think they are as careful when they go in and out.
No, they're not. They're not, sadly. And it may be, a hobby sitter, or it may be a relative, or it may be the kid next door, or a friend, or something, but they're not. And the other scary thing about using a sitter that isn't a professional sitter is they I run into it a lot that they won't tell the owner because either they're afraid to, or they don't want to ruin their vacation or something. So the pet could be missing for days and nobody knows about it, or we know about it, but the
Yeah,
owner doesn't
the
know
owner
about it.
should know right
I
away.
know, absolutely, absolutely. Because we've seen, people have cut their vacation short to get home, or they rally their friends and relatives nearby, but if they don't tell their owner, then they don't know what to nobody's out helping other than us, and that's a bad thing. So yeah.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen too often. And sometimes they can't contact the owner if the owner's again on a cruise or out of the country.
Hmm.
But if they're local, they should definitely do that first thing. Well, actually, I think they should contact you first, and then and then
Well,
maybe contact the client.
yeah, and you mentioned having the emergency contact, or somebody on standby too, and that's a good thing for people to know about. One thing I want to mention to you, because I use the term epidemic here in our two counties, and that is the lack of people that are microchipping, or they are microchipped, but their chips aren't updated. So I had mentioned to this other person I was talking with one day that, a professional pet sitting group, it would be a good tool because you're constantly seeing people's pets, you're constantly interacting with owners to remind them. So, you could be one of my helpers and all the other people that do what I do, helping spread the word about the importance of, not only chipping, but registering and keeping it up to date, or at least having an ID tag on their pet.
Absolutely. One of the things that I ask for in my paperwork is the chip number,
That's good.
in case the pet were to get lost.
Hmm.
Um, I wanted to have that, that chip number. And one of the things I was going to talk about is how to prepare for your sitter. And that's one of the things I wanted to say, is to make sure they have their tags on and your chip is updated, or that we have your chip information.
Hmm.
And I think that goes in my software. So
Yeah, it does, because when the first time you sat for us, that was one of the questions. And so I had to get out my folder and look. And the good thing about that is it forces the owner to be like, "Oh, is it up to date? You know, do I need to re-register?" It's something. It makes them it kind of the light bulb goes off in their head.
well, I'm like, I didn't know that I had to register every year until I met you, and or
Yeah.
not register but update it every year.
Yeah, yeah. I know. And a lot of people don't. And some people just go ahead and register it for a lifetime, and then other people just do it by the year. 80% don't do it at all. So, which is terrible. Oh gosh. Mary, is there anything else you'd want to mention that we haven't talked about? Because as you know, time flies when we're talking. So,
Well, I wanted to say, I want to tell our clients or our listeners, when it comes to your pets, be careful of who you hire. Don't try to cut corners in this area. Yes, professional pet sitters are more expensive than hobby sitters or your neighbor or friends, but we put our heart and our souls into what we do, and we'll make sure that your home and your pets are safe. Don't
Yeah.
hire anyone without bonding and insurance because anything can happen, and you need to be prepared. Do your homework, and it doesn't hurt to have two pet sitters lined up. I tell my clients this all the time. Have another pet sitter because we get busy and we're not always
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Well, Mary, the time went by really fast, but everything you told us today is really important information, and I hope this podcast or radio show will be available online, and so you can go back and listen and listen and listen to it, so you can remember these important things for the people that are listening today and thinking about hiring a professional pet sitter.
And anybody can call me if they would like. If anybody wants more information, my number is 941 447 9528. And even if you're not going to use me for a pet sitter, I will help you find one.
Mm-hmm. And your webpage is ChasenTailsPetCare.com, and that's ChasenTails petcare.com. Well, Mary, it's time to say goodbye already.
I know these interviews go really fast.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being with me today. I really do appreciate it.
Well, Patty, thank you so much for letting me talk about it. And again, I want to thank you for what you and your team do, because I know you work tirelessly, and I want these listeners to know that. So.
Oh, thank you. Well, for now, everybody, it's time to say goodbye. So remember, a lost pet can't tell anyone where it lives. So please be sure your pet is microchipped and wearing its ID tags, and that microchip better be up to date. I'm your host, Patty G. Russo, and this has been Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Thanks for joining us today, and until next time, take care and keep your pets safe.